In observance to the 5-10-15 rule, there are spoilers ahead for this review. It's about damn time. As of Yakuza 6, The Song of Life, Kiryu Kazuma has resided that the only way his family and all of his friends would ever be safe is if he actually died. More importantly, he ended up joining a government agency known as the Daidoji to make that happen. So now he's literally dead and off the grid. So with that said, since Kiryu's laying low, well, not really, because it is Kiryu, we're pretty much out of a protagonist. So we're gonna have to find somebody who's gonna fill up a very long gap, and more importantly, have really big shoes to fill because Kiryu's riding off in the sunset. So where can we find a protagonist that we could get behind? Who the hell can actually fill up these shoes? Well, let me in. I wish I was joking. Eric Andre is going to be the voice, the face, and pretty much the lead of the entirety of the Yakuza series from here on in. Speaking of which, this is the last game that will ever have Yakuza in the title, because now it'll be known as Like a Dragon. And we'll have not only a tonal shift, but absolute character shift. And we're going to be doing this review to see how much of a shift it is as we point out the pros and the cons of this game. So, folks, sit tight, buckle up as we laugh with and at the main protagonist of this game in Yakuza Like a Dragon. So with that said, let's go! Of course, as an RPG, the biggest issue is going to be grinding. Not just for experience points, but for personality for Ichiban. Because there are certain jobs that characters cannot get until Ichiban has grinded to reach their drink link, or more importantly, grinded to reach their personality. And the personality is also locking sub-stories. But you want to know what else does? Part-time hero. Yeah, meet the precursor to the Akame network. Part-time hero not only locks sub-stories behind it, but also has a monetary value locked behind it as well. I mean, here's the thing, it's bad enough that you're gonna be hurting for money very early on in the game, but part-time hero, while it gives you a modicum of cash, it's only gonna give you a certain amount of cash when you achieve items repeatedly. And on top of the fact that certain stats are locked behind certain achievements. Part-time hero is just as bad as the Akame network, if not worse. So yeah. Oh, and by the way, your pal mates are also locked behind part-time hero as well, so there's that. Oh, you thought I was joking when I said that you're going to be hurting for cash. The last game that ever had plates past platinum was Yakuza 0. Here, the highest you're going to find, if you're lucky, is a gold plate. And even then, it's RNG, what is underneath those vending machines. Jesus Christ. while the story itself is not too bad, my biggest issue is the events between Chapter 7 and Chapter 11. It's bad enough that the events between those chapters are relatively short. It's practically Nanba backstabbing the party for 3 chapters straight, only to come back at the last minute. And then Chapter 10 and 11 were just exceedingly short for no good reason. Nanba's actions literally is the reason why Ryo Aoki almost wins the day. Him and his brother, and by him I mean Nanba, almost pretty much doomed all of Yokohama to be under the thumb of a despot, all because they were trying to investigate the counterfeit scandal. And there was no reason for them to stick their noses into businesses that does not involve them, but they did. Needless to say, Nanba's betrayal, an eventual return, and everyone forgave him like he didn't just get the Gomi jewel burned to a crisp. It's just baffling, mind-boggling, and just terrible writing all around. But then again, as bad as Nanba's antics are, there's actually something that's 100% worse in this game.
Social justice, 1, 2, 3. I wanna be PC. It's just the way to be for me and you. Your hateful sons of red. Like one thing you and you. We'll fight until your PC black and blue.
I hate these fuckers. I seriously hate them. Not because of the fact that they're villains. Yeah, villains are meant to be hated, but these guys are a special kind of hate because they serve nothing to the plot. They're detriments. Even when their leader pusses out like a bitch, they're still there, but more importantly, every single one of them, almost every single one of them anyway, is a part of the goddamn Omi Alliance of all things. It's always these guys. It's always these guys! And oh look! Kiryu stopped laying low just to do battle with the fucking Omi Alliance. Every single game. Why? Why? He literally presumed himself dead, erased himself from existence, pretty much went off the grid, only to come back for the fucking Omi Alliance? Are you shitting me? And the fact that these guys are literally a part of Ryo Aoki's entourage, let alone Bleach Japan, is an absolute travesty. These guys used to be a credible threat in Yakuza Kiwami 2, and now look at them. They're nothing more than henchmen and punching bags. They're nothing more than lapdogs. And you think I'm just joking with you? Oh no! The moment that Watase pretty much disbanded the Omi Alliance, guess what? There's still a few cockroaches left to try to take up the mantle! One of which being Tendo. Yes, him, the guy who fought side by side to help defend everyone against the Omi Alliance, ends up taking the mantle and killing Arakawa in probably one of the stupidest plot twists ever. Needless to say, not only is the Omi Alliance terrible, it is an absolute travesty in this game, far worse than Like a Dragon Gaiden. Seriously, thank God they're gone after this game. And last but not least, let's talk about how this game lowballs you with sacrificial teas. You see, earlier, even at the beginning of the menu, Ichiban is dragging a bat in Hero class. And they prep Hero class as one of Ichiban's best classes, and more importantly, they have 2 DLC jobs. One of which is for the guys, which is pretty damn strong. But despite all that, at the end of the day, there's one class that this game forces you to neglect on purpose for the sake of difficulty. And that is Freelancer. You're gonna end up running into multiple strategy guides saying, oh, don't use Freelancer, it's the worst in the game, the worst job ever. And those same people will say, Real Elky is way too hard, he's absolutely difficult, and he is barely doing any damage to me. Not just because of my level, but because I took the time to beat out that sacrificial tease and actually power up the Freelancer before I came to this point. Needless to say, for the game to do this on purpose and even make it to where you need personality to even change to a different job or change back to Freelancer from Hero is just absolute dog shit. And it's things like this that angers me about this game, that the main boss of the game is actually pathetically easy due to the fact that the game tried to force you into a class that you honestly didn't need or won't use near the end of the game. That is a complete dick move. Well, that and one other thing. Yeah, this ending right here, like I said, pussed out like a bitch. By the way, this is sequel bait at its finest. Now we can move on to the... Believe it or not, there's actually some good to the combat. As you progress, and as you level up your jobs and also level up your characters, you will have skills available to you that'll carry over with every new job you get. Not to mention, as you proceed to level up Ichiban, he even will be able to revive people. He'll practically be the main leader. While yes, anything happens to Ichiban, the game is over, still, for the most part, the game will make it to where it'll be easier for you to try to survive some of the harder stages, say for the Millennial Tower and to an extent Chapter 13. But, in all honesty, once you beat Chapter 7, see that Menace to Society right there and what he just did? That is going to be in your hands. Jungi Han is a godsend. And even more so, if you manage to defeat the Ichiban Senbei, well, you'll end up with Eri as a partner as well, along with many other colorful casts of characters with their own backstories and drink links as well, which will make them stronger as you raise them. Speaking of Ichiban Senbei, or Ichiban Holdings, that's going to be your main source of income for Chapter 5 onwards. And why am I in this desk now? Because I managed to beat it. It's not that hard, to be honest with you. All you have to do is just get the right employees, and more importantly, have the right shareholders. Not to mention, you're going to have to grind up some money in order for you to make your properties give you profit, as well as make sure that the managers you have over the properties are making profit. And you'll have to upgrade all of your employees as well as all of your businesses, so that when the shareholders meeting comes out, that's going to be where you're going to get the big payouts. Sometimes it'll start out small, but once you get past the top 100 and when you get to basically the top 20, that's when the payouts will really come in. Although granted, some of your employers are going to be locked behind part-time hero, there are some that will be either A, available to the sub-stories, or B, will be available if you just meet them on the street and actually do something for them. And yes, you're going to have that piece of shareholders with a grandma, a chicken, and a monkey. The best shareholders in the game. I know, it's fucking weird. Trust me. I've asked ask that every time I play. Speaking of embracing the weird, pound mates. And yes, your eyes is not deceiving you, Kiryu is one of them. He stopped laying low to come out to help you whip ass and take names. Unfortunately, he's probably available near the end of the game. There are other pound mates that are available that are just as good to back you up whenever you need it, at a cost. There are mini games that Ichiban can play with others, or play by himself against random NPCs so he can gain money or gain some sort of stats in part-time hero, but for the most part, gain bonds with his friends. Aside from the items on the ground that you will find and also the plates and money, you have items in vending machines and restaurants that you could buy to replenish your party and to buff them, and also to remove debuffs from them. More importantly, the restaurants, because you're going to need as much buffs as you're going to get in order for you to survive. More importantly, you're going to need hello work. You'll be paying a visit here a lot in order for you to change the job that you need to better suit you. Whether it's Devil Rocker, whether it's Breaker, whether it's Host, whether it's the bodyguard, freelancer, hero, or even the musician and the chef, you're going to need not only the level to pick these jobs, but you're also going to need the personality level, or in the case of your friends, the drink link level. So that way, all of your friends and you will be able to go through various mini dungeons, like for instance, Whoop That Trick Sewers in both Kamurocho and Yokohama. Don't get it twisted, I like the themes of this game. They're actually pretty good, but it is eerily similar that the theme of the underground is similar to that of DJ's Whoop That Trick, which is why I call these sewers Whoop That Trick Sewers. Then again, while you're grinding, the sewers will be a great place to find a lot of items and a lot of weapons, which you're most likely going to end up throwing in the box by the end of the game because they are scattered everywhere. Yes, grinding will be here, and it's going to be your second home away from home when you're at the level, but at the same time, it's going to be worth it. And finally, let's not forget about the actual good thing, the story. The story is actually pretty powerful. Okay, aside from the events of chapter 7 through 11, and also the ending, the story is powerful, heartwarming. It actually has some good moments, and barring the Omi Alliance and Bleach Japan, the story is really entertaining, and needless to say, it actually has Ichiban somewhat develop as a character. He had to work his way to become loved, as opposed to Kiryu, who was an intimidating force and ended up earning the respect of a lot of people because he just looks like an intimidating Yakuza. Whereas Ichiban, far from intimidating, and more importantly, nobody cares about this guy so much that in the actual game, if you stay out in the street too long, you'll be ran the fuck over taking actual damage. So yeah, needless to say, the story has its twists and turns, especially the important plot point involving the locker rooms, and more importantly, involving the very beginning of the game, where a stank bitch literally caused the death of Masumi Arakawa's father. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I think I've said my piece about this game. And now, we can actually go to the rating. With the pros and cons compiled, it is now time to give this game its rating. Yakuza Like a Dragon will get the rating of good. And the only reason why I'm giving it a rating of good and no higher than that is primarily because of part-time hero, not to mention the DLC. Even though it's not on there, it's an obvious given. The fact that there's DLC there is already deduction as it is. The Omi Alliance served absolutely no purpose, and I didn't put Bleach Japan there because they're technically already Omi Alliance. I mean, hell, you could literally omit Bleach Japan, and there are far more credible threats under Real Aoki than what Bleach Japan ever could possibly be. Also, the grinding and the personality restrictions, that definitely hurt this game. And not to mention the lack of money, and also forcing you into other classes outside of Freelancer to keep you from having an easier time with the game. But other than that, the pros are just as good, however not good enough to get any higher. Yes, Jungi Han and Eri are beast. Yes, the music is good, the Poundmates are awesome. The majority of the story is good, there's mini games everywhere, and there's skills to carry over between jobs. But, let me be honest with you, Part-Time Hero killed this game, and it's gonna be an idea that will carry over in multiple games to come. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, this is RPMan985. I will see you all in the next review.